All right, all right, I'm recording. Come on screen. It's Google, right? Yeah, like that. Okay, share. There you go. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna start off with this. Oh wait, no, wrong thing, wrong thing, wrong thing. Not this, not this. Where's the other video? Can I? There it is. Okay, this one. Okay, we're gonna start off with this video. The city that banned police. It's the second episode. All right, let's start.
So let's talk about this. It's been about 20 days
You can hear the audio, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
since demonstrators packed into the part of Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, creating what's now known as the Capitol Hill Organized Protest, or CHOP. It was created in response to the death of George Floyd, and demonstrators blocked off Seattle's East Precinct, calling for an end to police brutality and for the city to defund the police department, among other requests. Well, the city tried to take action on Friday, bringing in trucks and front loaders to remove these barriers, but those crews left after they were met with protests like this person right here. Now, they are
All right, so this issue in particular is pretty interesting because in the Seattle Chat Zone, there's like an autonomous zone, and they like banned like the police. So it was literally like a lawless area in Seattle. And
And
ever since,
that's like everywhere where like the cops are not there.
yeah, cops are literally just not there. It's crazy. And apparently Seattle has been facing like some like this issue in like other areas too. It's like there's cops there, but apparently they don't do anything. So literally you can have like a fentanyl overdose and
Yeah.
they'll just let it happen. And maybe they'll call it like the ambulance, but this is probably like one of the craziest issues, and not a lot of people are talking about it. So I
Wait,
think
how would they block it off though? Like, why are
it's
cops just not allowed to get in?
so apparently I don't remember the exact details, but like a government like authority, so maybe like the mayor or something like that, they passed like a law here
Yeah.
and they just straight up banned it. Straight up banned like police is here. So like the police station that's in Chaz right now is abandoned. There's like nothing in there. Like there's no activity going on. And occasionally you'll see police like roaming the area, but they're not allowed to like intervene in like people affairs. So it's a pretty interesting issue.
It is interesting because like without cops, right? Wouldn't that influence more harmful or criminal activities
Yeah,
or
pretty that's pretty
behavior?
much what happened actually. So we're gonna continue. See what happens.
expecting to try again today, and that is why we sent King Five's Britt Moore down there. You're in Capitol Hill right now with a look at what's happening. I know it's early, but have you seen any changes, Britt?
Well, really, the chop zone has kind of transformed. I do want to point to just the mood so far this morning. It is calm and quiet. Much of the artwork that was here in this area is now gone this morning. Much of what remains are the barricades in front of the East Precinct and the barricades along 10th and Pine. Now, this morning, we've noticed, for the most part, empty streets. A large chunk of the barricades that were placed here in the Capitol Hill area are gone. All that's left are tents right around the precinct and tents inside Cal Anderson Park. Now, in a statement sent to King 5 yesterday, the Seattle Department of Transportation did not give any information about the details of today's barricade removal, but instead pointed to the mayor's action steps to create more access in this area. It's a tried and failed process that kicked off on Friday when protesters blocked SDOT crews from moving into the CHOP area. Now, that led to Mayor Durkin meeting with demonstrators to strike some sort of deal. The mayor's office, again, they have said that police will not re-enter the East Precinct this weekend. Meanwhile, protesters say their demands are still being worked out in negotiations.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. So there's some additional context that I'm gonna show. And this one is from like a YouTuber and he did like a little like documentary on Seattle. So here's some some insight into what's happening.
Wait, these are all like about Black Lives Matter, right? The movement.
Yeah, it appears so. So if you see right here, what he's showing right now, you can see like there's been ever since like the George Floyd movement, there's been like this huge like movement against police brutality in the case of Seattle, and they went out their way and just straight up banned the police. And it's pretty interesting too, because banning police, that's like our only sense of like justice to like
Yeah,
enforce it.
it's
And
like
moving it's been downhill for Seattle for a pretty while, but
yeah.
it is kind of sad that our minorities were pushed to a point where they felt like banning the police was the right decision, but it ended up causing more harm. So let's look at some insight into what happened.
Throwing them in jail, locking them up for as long as they could, and now we see, let's decriminalize it. Let's give them safe injection sites. Make sure that they get free housing. Look at
Oh yeah, this is just straight up crazy. Apparently, they also like legalize like injections and stuff for like drugs. So not only is there like no
Legalized?
police, there's been like a record-breaking like overdose like in Seattle. Like there's so many people on like you could literally just walk across the street and there's just a dude casually overdosing on fentanyl. It's just wild, absolutely wild.
It's legal.
Yeah, it's pretty much
This is like
legalized. Yeah.
this
Let
is
me let
Seattle
me
area, right?
yeah.
Oh
It's
my.
the Chaz zone in particular. Just
Yeah.
the Chaz zone. Let me go back here. I want to see what he said.
is geared towards the white community. Now look at the 90s.
Oh yeah, that's a crazy take as well. Let me see what he said. One second. Oh,
The United States Postal Service, built for how you business.
okay. Skipping this one. Oh, okay. We're not.
Why did the police evacuate their building?
Seattle PD.
Yeah.
Maybe I can ask him. Were you here during CHOP by chance? Do you have any thoughts on it? No?
They don't want to talk. They don't want to talk that they abandoned their motherfucking police station. Excuse my language.
And as we walk to the police precinct that was abandoned by the police, leading to the formation of CHOP, Mark began to share why he thinks the government's current stance on drugs and harm reduction is racist.
Why has it become a white supremacy thing?
Because a lot of it is geared towards the white community. Now look at the 90s during the crack epidemic.
Crack cocaine.
The problem is crack cocaine.
They were en masse beating black people, throwing them in jail, locking them up for as long as they could, and now we see, let's decriminalize it. Let's give them safe injection sites. Make sure that they get free housing. Look at how the response was different from white to black. They have reversed their stance when it's white people that are the ones that are overdosing, doing the crime and drugs. Now all of a sudden we need to decriminalize this.
Pretty interesting take from the fellow here. Do you have any thoughts on that?
What do they mean by decriminalizing?
It's like they're just straight up allowing drugs into streets. Like what was referred to as completely illegal substances, they're just allowing it to happen now.
Yeah,
That's
this is
what
in the
Seattle's like.
Seattle, though, right?
Yeah, the
Chaz
Chaz
Seattle.
area, of course, yeah.
All right, yeah, this is the point of because like this reminds me of the phrase, ACAB, where it means like all cops are bastardized, or essentially what it means was all cops are basically corrupted, right?
Yeah.
And this ties to this idea that police should be banned. And in my opinion, I don't feel like police should be banned because, as you can see in the Chaz Seattle, like overdosing on drugs is a legal thing. And if you can see in those videos earlier, like you can see those people like are, driving themselves insane just because of there's no cops, there's no one to watch over them, there's no
Mhm,
justice
yeah,
systems to, watch over like illegal drugs, for example.
for sure. And I think like a very big roadblock in achieving like global sustainability, like in that like regard, is like there's so much like economic inequality. And now that you have like drugs getting passed around now, like there's gonna be like they're like circulating around the area now. Now you have like even the homeless are just gonna be stuck being homeless because now that drugs are in circulation, they're gonna get hooked on that stuff. And I assure you, drugs are pretty accessible now because now that they're legalized in Seattle, like anybody can get them at that point. It's super easy to get. I mean, the crack epidemic is one of those prime examples. People were so easily influenced under crack. They got it so easily. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and it also ties to like this idea because this all happened because of a person like of a corrupt cop killing a
Yeah.
black life, right? And this
Mhm.
is just only one of many, probably like many instances where this actually happened. So I'm not trying to like not oversee the killing of George Floyd.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that one death has caused many other consequent deaths, right?
Definitely.
And I don't feel like one death of a black life because of a corrupt cop. While I do
Mhm.
think the corrupt cop should get this like respective punishment, I don't feel like there should be an entire movement that that what do you call it, advocates for criminality, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I know from the Black Lives Matter protests, people have been using that as an excuse to like rob stores,
Yeah.
and I've seen like videos of someone of a small business having their store robbed and like
Mm-hmm.
crying to the camera like, why do you do this? And he was a
Mm-hmm.
black it was a black man too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
yeah, so I feel like while minorities are often pushed to see that all cops are corrupt, I don't feel like
Mm-hmm.
they should push themselves to the extent of having a region where there's just no
Yeah.
cops, no justice system. It's just a overall harmful experience.
And like as terrible as it is, like the implication of this, it shows like Seattle, it makes it into a big example of what happens when you don't like enforce the law, when you don't maintain
Exactly.
public order. So it's clearly very important that we at least have a sense of lawness, and we get like those terrible ailments like out of our system. We don't want drugs getting circulated again. We don't want the crack epidemic again. So
Yeah.
let's continue the video.
Saying if these were predominantly black people using these same drugs, the stance would be different.
Exactly. I'm saying that's what it is in general. When
Okay.
white people are going through something, the government will step in and help them. Oh, the farmers
I
are
see.
having crops.
Do you have any some statistic? That was pretty interesting.
On which specific part?
Just what they're talking about here. So it looks like from what they're saying, typical fentanyl overdose victim was 32.5 plus or minus 6.7 year old. These are pretty young people, 19 to
They are.
57 years. Goodness gracious. So male, looks like it's dominantly male that overdosed on fentanyl, 78%.
Yeah, but you can see like the statistics of like
Mm-hmm.
Caucasian,
Yeah.
50% total, which I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like, yeah, that's actually kind of crazy because I think, the majority of the United States is more like, white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about the 50% of the targets or
Mm-hmm.
the supposed victims are 50% minorities,
Mm-hmm.
and with minorities making up a small population or like making some part of the population of the
Mm-hmm.
US, it's just crazy. It's if the statistics is true, then you can see
Mm-hmm.
how these minorities are most likely targeted by the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's clearly a very big impact on the minorities here, and also white people too, actually. I don't want to like leave out the white people because this is just a terrible event in
It
general
is.
for everybody in this case. I don't agree with what the Seattle mayor did. I think it's a terrible choice to even like make it like a very police-free zone because look what happened. This is what happened at the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy stuff.
It's
Absolutely crazy stuff.
it's also
I
like
really feel bad for anybody that's affected by this fentanyl because fentanyl is probably one of the worst drugs to get hooked under. I've seen stories of it. It's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
yeah, I was gonna say that, I
Mhm.
think it's like a more mental thing, like knowing
Mhm.
that there's no one that's like you can't get punished for your actions, right?
Mhm.
Knowing that there's no police in your region,
Yeah.
you're just more likely to commit a crime, right? And I
Mhm.
just feel bad for those people who just like imagine those people or those residents that
Mhm.
disagree with the idea of like a crime,
Mhm.
a non-police zone, I guess. It
Yeah.
just yeah, so a really weird situation just all over one event.
Mhm. Crazy stuff. So I found another interesting part of this video. It's actually one of the most replayed parts. So we're gonna go over it. Let's check it out. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, after we see this
Your
testimony,
Tesla is the place that you go to listen to audio. It's not like a compromise. It's like where you choose to go to listen to your audio.
Unless they show, right, that they are sorry for what their forefathers have.
so this is actually just a case of extremism. So let's see what their perspective is, because I think it's pretty interesting what they said. I mean, it's not right, it's terribly racist, but it is a pretty interesting take. And I thought if that there may be some global implications here local, so let's review it over. Okay.
So God is anti-peace, pro-war.
That's right.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he's not about peace. The Lord is a man of war. Even all the way back in the Bible days, he's always about war. He's about an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and revenge.
All right. Top enemies of God from God's perspective, as you've interpreted the Bible. Okay. Caucasians,
Yep.
Chinese, Japanese,
Arabs.
and then modern day Jews.
And then the modern day Jewish man. He created them to be destroyed, right?
Yeah, that's just a outright crazy take. And what I get from this is like, our fellow minorities here have been pushed to the point where they're completely like resorting to like extreme thought. And as you can see, this dude is just straight up like creating enemies of other races that, he's a human, they're human, we're all humans, we're all the same thing. We just derive from, maybe like a different ethnicity, but we're all in the end a human. So, do you have any thoughts on his extreme take here and what this may imply?
Is he taking this take from like the Bible,
I think
perchance?
he's misinterpreting the Bible. I think what he's doing is like he's trying to use the Bible as a way to like I don't know,
Yeah, that's what I was
maybe
thinking as well.
create enemies of other races.
Yeah, maybe to try to like persuade others, right? But
Yeah.
in general, it just ties back to like what I said in the first episode. People
hmm
really only look at one event of cops, but like never
hmm
look at the actual many good things that cops has done for the community, right?
hmm
Especially for Black lives too. It's just like they only foresee like one event, and then
hmm
a whole riot, chaos emerges, which is I think I think it's just unfair
Yeah,
for like many people
sure.
who don't want this protest or riots.
hmm
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy that people are, this they're pushed to the point where they have like an extreme ideology and now they're making enemies of other races because of how far they've been oppressed in this case. In this case, this young and misguided man right here has is just completely saying some outrageous stuff. So let's see if he says anything else. That's pretty interesting.
So I was created to be destroyed?
Yes, because that's why the Most High God says,
That's we. As someone who may not agree with your religious beliefs, should I have any incentive or interest in doing so if my whole means of existence is just to die and to be
that's
destruction?
a very good question. Yes, you should take interest.
Should I just kill myself at this point?
I'm going to show you what you're going to have to do to get mercy in the Lord's kingdom. Any of the other nations that are not blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, who are God's chosen people, if these other nations want to have mercy in the Most High God's kingdom, the entire nation has to repent for what they've done.
Wait, hold on. What? Sorry for what? What did I do?
Well, you're walking on stolen ground. Right?
What?
Didn't this land, before it was renamed Seattle, wasn't it called Duwamish?
What did I do?
Your nation of people, right, enslaved, right, the Native Americans and the Hispanics here in America. And the Most High God judges as a nation. But America as a whole is prophesied to be destroyed with international continental ballistic missiles.
IBM?
All right, that is
That is just
weird.
crazy.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Absolutely
I
crazy.
strongly disagree with him.
It's just crazy. I didn't know God had access to intercontinental ballistic missiles.
I don't believe that God actually predicted America was going to be a thing as well.
But
Uh,
that's pretty interesting. So it seems the Seattle situation has just pushed people to the point where, they're creating these scenarios, and these scenarios are like the most extreme way for them to, I don't know, maybe retain like a high ground for themselves. I don't know really.
maybe like a confirmation bias, in a way, like trying to
Yeah,
look for anything in the Bible that like correlates to like some aspect of the idea.
mhm,
Because
for
I do
sure.
not remember any of this in the Bible personally.
Yeah, but oh, this is such a misguided take. It's pretty
It is
crazy.
misguided. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just shows how a destruction of one's like, or it just shows like the destruction of one's death, and it
hmm
just creates people to be believing that all
Definitely.
cops are corrupt.
hmm Yeah, it all ties back to like cops because it is pretty terrible that cops are the ones who are pretty much the forefront of the BLM movement. I mean, the brutality of cops seen displayed within George Floyd is what steamrolled like all this activism, and it does expose America's racism. America is pretty racist,
It is,
but
but just
it's not always racist. I mean, I think it's probably a very progressive nation actually. I mean, if you excuse all the violence that's happened, if you notice like what's happened from like the past like 50, 60 years, I'm actually like so happy that like all of us are so united. I mean, racism is always gonna exist,
yeah,
but
it's never gonna not
yeah,
exist.
it's gonna always happen. I mean, if because America has had times where people were born into that racism, so they're gonna like bring down that point, and other people are gonna like live with that racism that their ancestors created. So it's just gonna be a cycle, and it is a very complex issue, right? I mean, racism. I don't think racism can ever be solved. It's gonna always exist, obviously, but
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting how all of this stemmed from the BLM movement. I mean, it exposes America's racism, But I mean, there is some it does expose America's flaws. It is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
do
scary.
remember another part of this video that I wanna look at. This dude right here is actually like one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
This time, we would like for family members
Okay.
to move forward and put on your Soldier's Army 1-star badge.
100. Well, United States.
So they're out here just giving out free fentanyl.
Really?
It's a
What?
non-organization.
This is cat.
Oh no,
No
that's
cap.
literally that was literally my reaction. That was the craziest statement I've ever heard. This dude is just straight up giving out free fentanyl to
All
the
right, that is
homeless.
this at this point is it like brings up to this interesting idea. Like, what
Hmm.
if people like some people are supporting this so they can sell illegal drugs? Because illegal drugs are what makes a lot like people a lot of money, you know?
Yeah.
Like
But
black markets, like, oh wow,
but
black markets don't really exist there.
they just straight up call themselves a non-profit organization that's giving it out for free.
Oh
This is
wait,
just
that's what he's part of this organization?
I'm sure this non-profit is literally just him and his buddy right here giving out.
Yeah,
This is
that's
one
the
of the craziest
thing.
things I've heard. This
No,
is
yeah,
crazy.
because like black markets can really exist in Chad, Seattle. Like that has to be
Mhm.
like one of the most dangerous blocks
Oh,
out
no,
there,
no, no.
right?
It definitely does. I mean, at the start of the video, when they entered Seattle, there's like these tents, and these tents had like these drug rings, and I'm pretty sure that's like the black market they operate in. And obviously, there's gonna be prostitution too within these drug rings. It's
Dang.
pretty crazy what happens. I
Yeah.
mean, ever since like the police was banned in Seattle, like for example, let's
It doesn't
go.
even sound like it was long too, right? It looks like it was just enforced recently as well.
Yeah, it was actually enforced pretty recently.
Yeah, look how chaotic it got already. Like
Mhm,
it's
yeah.
really without cops
Apparently,
too.
back in 2010, apparently Seattle was pretty fine. This literally happened like right after the George Floyd thing. Like that's when the mayor started like
Oh,
banning
after
the
George
stuff.
Floyd.
It's so crazy, so crazy.
What?
I literally can't believe this is what happens without police. This is just crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
no, wow.
The craziest
That's
stuff. I mean, there's a lot this video has, but unfortunately, we can't really cover it. We're gonna talk
yeah.
this space, but
You
I
guys
want
are
to see what
zoned
this
right
is.
now. Wait, whoa. Oh, so you guys actually are giving out, and we're cool.
Oh wow.
You guys are
Yeah,
giving
they were
free
even lying
fentanyl?
either. This is crazy.
This is real?
free fentanyl? Line up.
Can't make this stuff
Oh
up.
no, man.
Line up.
Wait, why are you doing this? This is clearly a chaotic evil force at play here. I've never seen anything like this. I
Free
don't know.
fentanyl.
You're gonna kill someone.
He also said to give back to the community. This is just really crazy.
Yeah, okay.
Like, do you think Seattle's situation has anything to come at play here for people to give out free fentanyl? This is just crazy stuff.
No, yeah, dude. And look at Seattle. Like, do you not like you look at the background in the whole, bro? Like it
Yeah, look
looks
at the
really
background.
unkept
This
now.
really crazy. I mean,
Really
look,
unkept. Like a
like
lot of
just looking at the city
yeah,
with no law enforcement. There's just trash on the ground. This is
yeah.
very crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, that actually gives me like another perspective on cops, like how
Mhm.
important they are, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. When we don't have anybody, because we can't really trust humans individually to,
yeah.
keep up
It's
after
just
themselves. I mean, literally, if you go outside, you'll probably like you'll see a dog probably like poop on the ground, and nobody's gonna pick it up. I
yeah,
mean, if this is bad, but like extreme. I mean, look at this. There's just trash on the ground, and if you look closely, there's needles. There's actually like fentanyl needles.
yeah.
Because
That is no,
throughout
that's
the video,
actually
I
just
noticed there's
scary.
like these little like capsules with like a little needle coming out of it. That's all fentanyl, injected fentanyl, just
And
out on the streets. It's just
honestly
crazy.
though, like if they actually like keep this up though, like they're gonna eventually like cause this to spread. You know, the whole
Hmm.
Chaz Seattle area.
Hmm.
This regulated area is eventually going to
Well,
spread.
I don't think it's gonna spread because this is all in like a zone. So
Oh,
if you go,
is that the
if you
borders
go
thingy?
outside of
Yeah.
the zone, you'll know. I will assure you, you'll see a really big difference because
All
there's
right.
actually
Yeah. No,
cops
I see. Yeah,
monitoring.
I remember. I remember.
Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. But this is probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen. This dude is
Free fentanyl. Like, how is that
free
even
fentanyl,
possible?
free fentanyl. Oh my God.
Giving out to the community is crazy.
Yeah.
Guys, no.
Oh no, man.
And look at this. You can tell they're really hooked on the stuff too. And this has happened because there's nobody to supervise what's going on. So you can see like the most illegal things just casually happening in the public. I mean, she's gonna get hooked on fentanyl, and we're not gonna know what's gonna happen to her. He's gonna get hooked on fentanyl. We're not gonna even know what happened to him. I don't even know if they're alive because of fentanyl. This is just crazy. And the police. could have very easily stopped these dealings, or at least keep them underground, so there's not much activity going on. Because
Yeah,
obviously drugs are gonna circulate, but at least not to this extreme level. This is crazy, absolutely crazy.
it is.
Yeah.
Everybody get in line.
You guys are gonna, why are you giving this gonna overdose someone?
Because this is how you clean up the streets.
But that is another crazy point this dude just brought up. This is how you clean the streets. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do not know what he means by clean up in this case, because honestly, the streets are already dirty, and there's no
Mhm.
way you can like give someone drugs and then make it more clean. I guess I have no idea what he means by clean up.
So, this brings up the point. So, do you have any thoughts on how individuals and institutions can work together to combat racism and promote racial equality at first? Because
Dude,
I'm sure these issues stemmed from racism at first. Because look at this, straight up like handing out fentanyl. Now they're like they want to clean up the streets. It's crazy.
solving racism as a whole is just almost like I wouldn't say impossible, but like
Hmm.
this goes to this idea that everyone has different ideologies, right?
Hmm.
And I guess it's just like this stereotype of like what why people are placed upon, because
Hmm.
I saw there's apparently statistics, right?
Yeah,
Apparently Black lives commit the most like crimes out there.
that is
So
pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy.
no, yeah, it is crazy because
Oh,
it's
actually, on that point, going from the first video, how do you think activism plays a role here? Because activism is what actually established the Chaz zone. So, do you have any thoughts on that, on activism?
activism.
Yeah, because is activism like very, yeah, effective in this case? Do you think activism is effective in everyday issues like racism?
For a scenario where there's no cops, no, because this really just enforces criminals to like
Hmm.
or just influences criminals. I guess it's more to like attract criminals, but like in
Hmm.
terms of achieving like solving the issue of racism, I don't see how that's happening.
Yeah,
Honestly, I have no idea on how to solve racism. Um,
yeah, I think that's a pretty complex issue.
it is really complex.
Yeah, really complex issue. I don't know. I'm not sure if we even are equipped to the knowledge to even like say anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Give
yeah,
it away.
that's the city that banned police. Seattle, the Chaz Autonomous Zone. Probably one of the craziest stories I've ever heard.
Yep.
Yeah. So that wraps up episode 2. All right. Yeah, stop sharing. Okay, there you go. All right, I'm gonna end the meeting real quick because I
We
like.
gotta end the recording.
Oh yeah, I have to end that too.